It was one of those Sundays that seemed calm. So calm it almost felt like the world had paused just for you. But beneath that stillness lurked something raw, something too honest. The kind of evening that peels back your distractions until all you're left with is the truth you've been dodging all week. The house was quiet, too quiet, and in that stillness, the weight of all the unspoken disappointments settled heavily on my chest. Pretending got harder with every breath. I didn't set out to shatter my marriage that night. Sarah, my best friend since college, dropped by unexpectedly. She had an uncanny ability to show up when I was unraveling, even if I hadn't said a word. We curled up on the couch, the cushions sagging beneath us in that familiar, comforting way. A single lamp bathed the room in soft amber light, throwing lazy shadows on the walls. Between us sat a half-empty bottle of wine, its contents slowly dissolving the walls I'd carefully built inside myself. As far as I knew, Nathan was upstairs. Probably rummaging through storage boxes again, tackling one of his half-done projects. He'd become good at staying busy, especially now, when our conversations had thinned out to shallow ripples. We still functioned like a team. The fridge stayed stocked, the bills got paid, and we exchanged the usual, surface-level chatter about laundry or thermostat settings. But the deep connection, the soul of our relationship, had thinned to a whisper. Silence had become our default language. And that night, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. "I don't know, Sarah," I muttered, pressing my fingers hard against my temples, trying to push back the dull throb in my head. Some days, I honestly wish I hadn't married him. The second I said it, I felt a gut-deep shift. Like something sacred had just cracked open and poured out, irreversible. The air grew colder around us. Sarah's face tightened, her brows drawing together. "You don't mean that," she said quickly, too quickly. Her tone was more plea than reassurance. But it wasn't that simple. Part of me did mean it, some exhausted, emotionally threadbare part that had been holding on too long. I loved Nathan. Or at least I used to. But the love had changed. It was no longer fireworks or steady warmth. It had morphed into something weighty, like a duty I performed on autopilot, not from longing, but from obligation. Unbeknownst to us, Nathan had been listening from the staircase. Hidden in the shadows just beyond the hallway's reach, he heard every word. I didn't see him. Didn't hear a creak. No breath, no movement. But later I would picture him, frozen on the steps, hearing the woman he loved speak aloud a truth she never meant for him to hear. The next morning, I noticed the emptiness before anything else. The house had a strange hollowness, as if it were holding its breath. The coffee machine sat unused. Nathan's keys were missing from their usual spot. His boots, the ones he always lined up like soldiers, perfectly straight, were gone. At first, I convinced myself he'd just gone out early. Maybe to the hardware store. Maybe to clear his head. But a gnawing feeling crept in. He always kissed me goodbye. Even after our worst fights, especially after those. By noon, my nerves had reached their limit. I called his phone. It rang endlessly, then went to voicemail. I texted him. No reply. I sat hunched over the kitchen table, my laptop open before me, as if the screen might somehow deliver the clarity I so desperately needed. Then it appeared, an unread message, his name glowing in the sender's line. The subject, a single, devastating word. Goodbye. My hands trembled as I clicked it open. I heard you last night. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. You weren't upset. You didn't raise your voice. That made it worse. Because what you said, that was real. And it broke something in me. I gave you everything. I kept showing up, even when it felt like I was the only one who still cared. But now I see it. You've been quietly regretting me. I won't stay where I'm merely endured. Don't try to find me. The divorce has already been filed. I'm not angry. Just done being someone's mistake. Nathan. I sat frozen, reading those words over and over. Each line felt like a sharp blow to the chest, clean, precise, and unflinchingly final. There was no anger in his tone, no trace of desperation. Only calm certainty. A man choosing himself, at last. Panic surged through me. I grabbed my keys and drove to his office, praying I wasn't too late. But the receptionist met me with a blank expression and a short answer. He'd quit that very morning, cleaned out his desk, and left nothing behind. No forwarding contact. No goodbye. By late afternoon, his number had been disconnected. His social media accounts, gone. Every photo, every post, every tag. It was like Nathan had deliberately wiped away every trace of the life we once shared. I reached out to friends. No one had seen or heard from him. Even his brother gave me little more than a vague shrug, saying only that Nathan needed time and didn't want to be contacted. And then, like clockwork, the envelope arrived at my door. Divorce papers. Every field filled in. His name already signed in ink. No conversation. No request. Just an outcome. I wasn't consulted. I was notified. My place in the story had been reduced to that of a signature. I thought I'd feel angry. Or shocked. Or maybe desperate enough to beg. But all I felt was a hollow ache, a grief so deep it felt like it was chewing through my bones. Not just grief for losing Nathan, but for the love I'd slowly let slip away. I kept thinking about how he used to look at me, like I was his greatest joy. The way he'd rub circles on my back when I couldn't sleep. The little fridge notes he left with doodled hearts and inside jokes. Nathan hadn't given up. He kept trying, even when I didn't notice anymore. And the cruelest part? He didn't hear those words in an argument. He heard them in quiet, careless honesty, spoken to someone else. Not shouted, not weaponized, just truth, spoken when I thought he wasn't listening. That kind of betrayal, the unspoken, casual kind, is deeper than any fight. It's not born from anger or passion, but from certainty. A truth I didn't have the courage to tell him to his face. And he heard it anyway. The months that followed blurred together. I tried to trace him, calls, emails, even hiring a private investigator. Nothing. No change of address, no transactions, no paper trail. It was as though Nathan had dissolved into silence, choosing peace over closure. And I understood. Those words he heard didn't just hurt, they confirmed what he had probably feared in our widening distance, that I'd stopped choosing him. That I stayed not out of love, but from habit. And in response, he did something I never expected. He let go. Some nights, I lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering where he is. If he's happy. If someone else now wakes up beside him and sees him for what he truly is, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of man. I hope she knows. Because he was my best decision. I just realized it far too late. Nathan didn't storm out. He didn't seek revenge. He vanished with dignity, leaving behind no chaos, only the lingering echo of a single sentence. A sentence I will carry with me for the rest of my life.